I'm Jay, your DM. I use he, him.
Hi, I'm Haley. I use she, her.
I'm Jerika. I use she, her.
Hi, I'm John. I go by Coffee Robot Online, and I go by he, him.
Yay!
Yay! We're happy to have John as a guest
Yeah,
to
he
do
must
a
be
very
really scraping the
Technically,
barrel.
second time that John's been a guest.
It's true. A guest to discuss our recent adventures at PAX Unplugged in Philly.
We are having a little PAX Unplugged reunion right here because we were all in attendance. I have the PAX Pox. That is what PAX means to me right now. I got quite congested Monday morning and was tossing and turning Sunday night. And it is now Saturday. So this is the PAX Pox. It's just, the more you enjoyed PAX, the stronger your pox is. So everyone who was healthy did not take two full something. Their PAX was worse than mine.
Yeah, sure. Whatever gets you through this PAX Pox.
There you go. A lot of clementines and bed rest.
So, ding dong. First PAX pro tip.
Let's try that again.
First PAX pro tip. Take hand sanitizer. It's good.
I didn't get sick at all last year. I don't know.
Yeah, it's PAX is
I
a
also
difficult
talked
time. It's a lot
to
of
Jerry
bodies.
a little more this year, so maybe Jerry he breathed
He
on
is
me.
known to be the contagion. He carries all disease within his body at all time. Have you ever seen the Chosen of Groomsh errata update? I meant to say favored of your truce. This is the errata update. This certain beast in D&D, it is a orc that is covered in pustules and it explodes disease.
That's me.
Yeah.
No, that's Jerry is what you're saying.
That's Jerry is what I'm saying. Jerry is just an ogre that carries disease.
What a
You heard it here
delightful
first.
intro. Look at us bantering about diseases.
All right, so we first wanted to discuss some things we saw at PAX. Is that correct?
Yeah.
We'll do an alternate dungeon crawl. We can call it a PAX crawl because I'm not creative.
And there's no extremely talented song masters here today to sing us into PAX.
Don't undersell
PAX,
it. Come on.
PAX. PAX. There's a song.
I mean, listen, I was editing that just yesterday and it was choice. Anyway, you all enjoyed that last week. This week you get to enjoy us talking about board games.
So, Jay, do you want to start and tell us your favorite thing that you saw at PAX?
Sure. The only one I played at PAX was a game called Bang, which is about outlaws versus sheriffs. It is about sheriffs versus outlaws, and they have these interesting mechanics for who you can shoot, who you can't shoot, and hidden roles. So you may be a sheriff and you don't know who your deputy is. You will have several people telling you that they're your deputy, but some of them will be lying to you. And it's a difficult game where you sort of have to keep up with everybody's turn and everybody's actions because they're giving you clues about what their objective is all the time. So if you're an outlaw, you want to find the other outlaws, but there's also a guy called the Renegade, or a person called the Renegade, and their role is basically to kill everyone but themselves. So a Renegade may seem to be on your side at one moment, and then suddenly will do something that tips you off that they are not on your side at all and are in fact the Renegade.
Interesting. So everyone has a different win condition.
Exactly. So the outlaws win if the sheriff dies.
It's like werewolf.
It's like the werewolf, like before werewolf there was Bang.
Before werewolf, there was Bang. Before all of us, there was Bang.
Unlike werewolf, there's a bunch of like equipment and gear you can get that changes your odds every turn, and you shoot people, which is different than werewolf. It's just a fun game of shooting your friends and finding out if you accidentally killed your own deputy, which is
super
always
fun
unfortunate.
and always a delight.
So I also have, and I might be stealing this from Jerika, because I think
I have a thing that might not be a thing that you have.
Well, I also got a small game at PAX that was great fun to play. And it was my Christmas present from Jerika, the Tea Dragon Society deck building game.
It's really good.
It's really good.
Did we all get each other presents at PAX this year?
Yes, we did.
What a good group.
And so this game is super cute. I really enjoyed, I think what drew us to it was the art and also the diversity. It's very nice.
Oh.
There is lots of representation in this game. But it's, how is it described, Jerika? Like Pokemon
for nice people.
And so you have different dragons that are associated with different types of tea, and so they all have different personalities. And then you're drawing cards and trying to, like, you get growth points, and then you can buy season cards, which count towards, like, your points at the end of the game. And then they all give you kind of different abilities. So sometimes you're trying to groom your dragon and they bite you because they don't want to be groomed. But if you have, like, a special ability, you can calm them down and get them to not bite you. But mostly it's a really cute game. And also
gentle deck building.
Yes, it's a deck building game. It's probably the first deck building game that I've played that I've enjoyed. Because it didn't require me to know a lot of things to succeed at it.
Yeah, indeed.
Right.
It's definitely
great for kids.
Like good, totally good for kids and Haley's.
And kids named Haley.
I saw the box and then I went and looked it up online, and all the art looks really, really nice.
It's so good.
Super
Yeah, it looks very cute.
I believe it was a comic first.
Yes, there's a comic.
there
That's
you go.
probably why.
And I actually bought the graphic novel for myself.
Oh, nice.
And the graphic novel is called the Tea Dragon Society, as you might expect. And it won a important graphic novel award.
And any...
Is it Eisner? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, the Eisners. Yeah,
I
the
think.
Eisners. Named after famous comics writer Will Eisner,
Great.
one of the late greats. He wrote The Spirit, which is one of the greatest comic books of all time.
Nice. And they're releasing the Tea Dragon Festival or something to that effect next year, which is the follow-up comic, which I believe is a flashback comic.
Oh, cute. And speaking of comics, the directions on how to play the game are written as a comic of a person teaching
so
their friends how to
cute.
play the game.
Oh, it's the cutest.
It's really
It's the
cute.
cutest thing.
I'll take some pictures of it. It's by Renegade Games. They actually had sold out of the game by Saturday,
Yeah.
I think.
Wow.
Like end of the day Saturday. I don't remember. Maybe it was Sunday morning. They were like, yeah, we're long past out of that. But you should totally check it out. It's really cute. And they also, Renegade had some other cute games. Like there was a game called Topiary, I think it was.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And so it's the same folks, I believe, or at least that's what it seemed like online. And I might check out Topiary because there is a shrub in the shape of a dinosaur on the box.
Oh my gosh. It's a cute one. Like 7 inches from the midday sun.
All right, Jerika, what do you got?
Alrighty. So the thing that I found that I love is called Katamino, Katamino. It is by Giga Mick. I hate the letter G. That's all you need to know. Gigamic. And what drew me to this game is this company had 4 of their, I guess, great games as giant versions that you could touch and also look at and
Jerika,
like if you want.
Maybe this is how we got sick, because we played with the blocks.
It's very possible. They were wood and I didn't see any disinfecting wipes used at
Codenames
all.
had something like that where they were selling a gigantic version of Codenames with all the cards like blown up. I was like, man, that would be really good for me who can't see anything.
Yeah. So they had 3 sizes. They had the show floor size, which I assume you could buy if you had like $1 million. They weren't offering to sell it.
They were
I
not.
don't know if it would be $1 million.
Might be more or less. Anyway, and then they had like a regular size version. I don't know, like a tabletop version. And I bought the travel size.
Ooh.
Because I am envisioning that I'm going to play this a lot on my own.
Yeah.
Before bed, maybe. But anyway, so the game is...
Oh, so there's like a single player component to this.
Yes.
So
I mean, so Haley and I kind of played it like we cooperated, but you didn't need to.
Oh, so it is actually a single player game.
I think that's probably... I mean...
I don't think you could play it with very many people. It's not
there's a little sign on the box with like a big person, a smaller person, and an even smaller person. So I'm going to assume that you can
play with your increasingly small friends.
Yes, indeed. But only with them, not your friends that are the same size as you are.
So which one's the big people and the little people in the Haley Jerika configuration?
Haley's a lot smaller than I am. So Haley's the mid-sized. I'm the giant one.
And then we'll need to find a child to play with us.
We're looking for a tiny checker to fill in this third role.
And someone who cares at all about Katamino. Katamino is a lot like Tetris, where you get shapes and you have to fit them into a certain area. But the area is predefined.
And the shapes you get
and
are
then,
predefined.
So it comes with a booklet that says, these shapes will fit into this size, and it's a square or a rectangle.
Oh, so it's kind of like a puzzle.
It is a puzzle. It's very much a puzzle. A shape and a tactile component as well, which I'm a big fan of. And I thought that as well as being a fun, exciting puzzle game thing with shapes and colors, it could also be like a puzzle that you can hand to your players in a D&D game, and it could be like something that they need to solve together.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Put the blocks in to open the door.
I love to throw in like tactile puzzles like that. Those are always fun.
I love it too.
Yeah, well, speaking of tactile, the thing I was going to bring was the thing that was on the Omegathon, the final round. And you can actually watch this being played if you go to twitch.tv/Pax. And that's Tokyo Highway.
And we'll link that video.
Yeah, of course. Except they made a massive version of it for to be played on stage, which is one of the most nerve-wracking panels.
Oh, okay, so it's normally very small.
Oh, yeah. It's a tabletop game. Of course it's small.
Oh,
no.
I didn't know. That was the first time I'd seen it.
Buying that game that they played on there?
Yeah, I was like, oh, that'd be fun to play with your kids in the floor, I guess.
What was it called again?
Oh, the name was Tokyo Highway.
Tokyo Highway.
It's published by a manufacturer called Itten. But if you go and watch that video, you can see that it's this very... It's going back to kind of more skill-based tabletops. Like, I don't know if you guys had Screwball Scramble or something like that. I think it's called something different in America.
I'll do a Google.
Yeah, I don't know that name.
No, but like when you're a kid, a lot of board games have this kind of physical component.
Okay.
Like Mousetrap is the most basic
It's got like
example.
a Mousetrap look to it, yeah.
Yeah.
I had Mousetrap
board
as a
game
kid.
was like it had rules, but it also had like a skill element, which a lot of games don't have these days. So I thought kind of throwing tactics,
dexterity games.
Yeah, that's perfectly it. So I thought throwing those two together was genius for a board game.
Yeah, it looked really cool, the way that you could interweave the roads and get them all tangled up and then use the cars to sort of block your opponent. It was very intense. And the really frustrating moment while watching her play was that final turn where she just could not find a 2-point road. And it was just like so difficult because the roads were so intertangled and intermeshed and intertwined. And it really made me want to like take a crack at it. It felt like a puzzle that could be solved with enough like careful thought and planning.
I'm looking at the normal sized version, and it has tweezers that you use to place your cars down. I might have to get this. This would be a hilarious game to play like with some people and some drinks. Like dexterity games and drinking. I don't know. I feel like my friends can turn that into a dangerous situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dangerously fun.
Dangerously fun. And you can't knock people's cars off. This is cute. The little instructions I found online for this game are really cute.
Yeah, the girl who was playing on stage kind of had like a little bit of a shaky hand, and I was really rooting for her because she was pulling it off. Like, I really thought she was going to find that 2-pointer there at the end, but she just couldn't find it. I was like, no.
I'm not surprised.
But
it must be such a hard game to play when you've been watched by hundreds of people on a stage, when even more online.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Honestly,
she did incredibly well.
I've thought about trying to do the Omegathon a few times, but like I am not like I love games and I'm bad at them. Like
for those who don't know, during PAX there is a tournament called the Omegathon, where contestants can sign up. I think there's 10 people who go through it.
Yeah.
So they all get
10
chosen by
when you
lottery,
start.
and then you play through a series of about 5 or 6 rounds. And then at the end, the last panel of the show is 2 people facing off playing one game on stage.
Yep. Good luck to Taurus from the Shadow Council, who has been
He has applied.
selected for
he
the
got the call.
pre-application process.
Yeah.
But it's not like
It's like
it's not set in stone
once
yet.
once you buy a badge, they'll send an email out in advance saying like, do you want to be considered from the Omegathon? And then they do some sort of process from there, and then they I think they have like questions maybe. I don't know. At Unplugged, it's all board games, but at the other PAXs, it's like board games or video games.
Mm-hmm. Last year, it was that music game that Jerry was really into for a while.
Oh, Drop
I love
Mix.
that game.
Yeah, Drop Mix.
Drop Mix is amazing.
Mix.
Drop Mix is expensive. I looked that up afterwards, and you need to buy, like, it's
Oh
a
man,
specific
they had
kit.
it on sale when Target was closing. They had a bunch of them for like $40, and I was really tempted. But I was just like, I think I just want this because Jerry recommended it. I don't think I would ever actually play
I
it.
have a brother who loves board games, and he was also at PAX, and we did not see each other because I was a busy bee. He has Drop Mix, and he brings it to like every holiday get together, and I love playing it. But I insist on sorting the cards out of songs that I know. Only songs that I know. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that it would definitely be advantaged from a little bit of pre-selection. So speaking of panels at PAX and things that you can go do and see, PAX is really kind of unique in that it is different for everyone who attends it. There's basically 3 cons going on at once, if you'd like to look at it that way. And so really you can sort of attend a different PAX each time, and in different scenarios your PAX can be different. And like me, Haley, and Jerika, and John, I think all had pretty unique experiences. I mean, there were some overlaps. I mean, obviously C-Team, everybody was going to C-Team, and then ACK, but there are some things which we diverged. Like, I hung around a lot in the board game area. I played a couple games of Bang, and then sat down with another group who was demoing a board game. I spent a lot of time in the play space, the free play area. And I think that there are probably people who go to PAX who don't leave the free play area. That place is always packed.
Packed.
But yeah, we were just going to talk about some fun things that we do at PAX and the different kind of things you can see there.
Well, I had entirely the opposite of one of those. It's a bit strange going to, for starters, telling everyone you're going to a board game convention and then coming back and people asking, oh, what did you do? Oh, yeah, I played no board games.
That was me last year.
Yeah, I came specifically just to hang out with people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I was actually last night, we had some friends over, and it turns out that one of our good friends, like friend from growing up, works for Reed Pop, who runs PAX, and is at all of the PAXs.
Wow.
And she was like, he's been telling me about this convention forever, and I've never met anyone who's ever gone. Like, what did you do? And I was like, I waited in a lot of lines. I saw people that like I talk to all the time online. And I played one game, and they were like, oh, because she was, well, I'm actually really excited about this because I've now found out that I have friends IRL who will come and play complicated board games with me.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about this fact because until this point, I just have subjected my boyfriend to playing like all the 2-player things that I can find. But like most of our friends don't have the attention span for anything that takes more than like a half an hour to play. But they're really excited. She's played Ticket to Ride. She wants to play Ticket to Ride and like some other games. And so I think we'll have a board game night soon. But she's like, what games did you see? Like, I was thinking about getting some board games. What was good? And I was like, there was things there.
But it's interesting that you bring up the attention span thing, because I feel like the idea of a board game PAX show is diametrically opposed to what PAX, like, and any other kind of gaming convention is, where you go and you play demos for about 5 minutes of a game and then you move on to the next thing, and there's a big queue waiting for that game. Whereas going to free play and sitting down for 2 hours and playing a single game, when you've only got a weekend to be going out and doing things, I'm not sure how I feel about that.
That's definitely really the thing that I find difficult at PAX. Like, I always have intentions of trying things and playing things, and I've been going to PAX East for a long time. And I think that playing Tea Dragon Society in line for AI was like the first time, I'm counting, I think it was the third game I've ever played in a PAX.
But we also didn't get all the way through the game.
Right, like we didn't finish
so
it. So
I think that you gotta play like low risk games in line because you don't know exactly when you're gonna be moving.
I know we were
so
like
that game was really good for that.
Yeah, because we kind of just like stopped the game where we were and then determined like how we had done.
Yeah. So here's kind of my thinking on PAX, and it's a little different. Like, I mean, I get it with John and Wouter. They're at PAX. This is probably not going to be a regular thing that they can do all the time. Like, this is their one PAX in the year. They want to see everybody and see everything and do all these things and be a good seat, stuff like that. For me, that's how I was in my first couple PAXs too. But lately I've been thinking, like, I don't want to stand in a line at a PAX. Like, I don't want to be in a line at a PAX. Like, if I'm at PAX, I want to be playing a game in the free play area, exploring the show floor, or at a panel. So, like, the C team, for example, it doesn't fill up, really. I don't think it's filled up at a PAX yet, because it's always Sunday morning, and, like, it's kind of low attendance day. It's a little more low-key, and C team is a little less, like, the main event of the show. So, I don't think there's been a C team that's, like, filled up until the very end of the lineup period. Yeah, so I can go to that towards the end, and I can just watch on the big screens in the theater, and I still get all the crowd energy, the excitement of the crowd from in the back. I don't need to be at the front. And like that means I get more time to explore the show floor and more time to play games on the event, like in the actual free play area. And I think that that's way more fun. But like, I mean, I get why other people want to be at the front too. You know, it's a rare opportunity to be really close to this people that you admire and respect, and it's exciting. And waiting in line with your friends is nice. But like the only time we really were in line relatively
is, Jay.
The only time we were really in line for a long time was for the main show, and that was because it was at 50% after like 10 minutes. So we didn't really have a choice there. We were like, okay, well, I guess this is going to fill up. So, but other than that, I don't think I was really in line for very long at anything. I mean, even C-Team, I kind of just waltzed in.
You weren't in line at all.
Jerika saved some very nice seats. Yeah. Especially for me, who was ill on Sunday morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jerika did all the heavy lifting there. But, like, I would have been happy in the back, too. I deserved the back. But Jerika was a champion and got me good seats.
So, like...
which I did not deserve.
For me, I'm a very, like, people-oriented introvert.
Mm-hmm. I would say that is the description of myself I've always wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, people-oriented introvert. Yeah. That's nice.
So, like, so last year, so this is my second PAX this year. My first PAX was last year Unplugged. And my goal was to meet the cast, basically, and to hug them and glomp them and try not to get them sick. And I did that, and I got a bag signed that Featherweight had sent to me.
Yes.
And that was kind of like PAX for me.
This was the last year, yes.
Yeah, and then, and also to meet my lovely Insight Check people because we had never
I know, that was the first time we met each other in our human forms.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. It was very important. But this year I had, like, much more, like, discrete goals. Mostly it was get all the cool things that people from the C-Teen community made. And like just hang out with people a lot, and also attend A-Team and A-Team and C-Team games.
Yeah, I definitely felt like there were more people I cared to meet this year than last year.
Yeah.
Like last year was all about the cast, and this year was all about the Shadow Council.
Yeah, I would say that's the same for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of why I don't want to do lines. I want to be like playing games with these people, but all these people want to do lines.
The line is also like an experience of getting to, going through a harrowing.
It is a harrowing experience.
It is kind of harrowing if you show up early
You
enough.
get to see, you get to see Haley get stressed out about really close proximity to strangers. Like, who wouldn't want to experience
Unplugged
that?
isn't as bad as Boston was. Man, I was really tired by the end of Boston's line. They made us stand up very early, and we had to stand for basically 2 hours, and it wasn't the best.
But even meeting people whose names that I know from the internet is amazing. Like Coffee, for example.
Yes.
That was really awesome. Nurse, obviously. All of our friends
Nurse.
that we met was just amazing. But then
Algernon.
also, just like how like Bob Ross runs the colors across the screen at the bottom before he
I've
paints.
been hearing a lot about Bob Ross lately.
That is my depression coping mechanism for the winter this winter. So there you go.
Well, there you go.
Anyway, so
He runs the
we're just
colors
gonna run all the friends' names
across the
across
bottom.
the podcast. Your name is here at the moment. You can
We
see
love
it.
you.
Anyway,
Yeah, Will Muzzy was there. Potato, not a potato. Wouter.
Birdosaurus. Anyway, so I think that the line also offers a unique experience to bond with your friends and to make new ones.
Jerika and I met a lovely lady from Maine. Her name was Opal, and she played the Tea Dragon Society game with us.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have achieved the Pax.
She's obviously in the Shadow Council because she's in line for the C team. But I've never interacted with her
maybe
in
the
a
A
Discord
team.
or
Shadow Council.
on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah. No, she was
Also, Fickle and Courtney.
She was a very
Just naming people now.
naming people. She was really lovely, and I've always watched people look at other people in line and be like, "Hey, do you want to play this game with me?" And I'm like, one day I'll be brave enough to ask a stranger if they'll want to play a board game with me. Or maybe sometime someone will ask me. And so we're standing there, and she's looking at the art and saying it's cute, and I was like, maybe she wants to play with us, and she did, and it was great.
That was me in every line. I was just like, hey, I got Bang. Does anybody want to play Bang? Let's play Bang.
Well, that was the best thing about it, because I know a lot of people, because this was my first PAX this year, and also my first time in America, but I don't know if that's related to it. But the idea, because everyone says welcome home as the slogan of PAX, and saying, oh, it's just this community, and everyone seems to instantly know each other.
Yeah.
And getting to experience that firsthand, that it was actually a real thing, was really nice. Because then you can just sort of strike up a conversation with someone about what they're doing, what they're here to say, what they've seen in the show so far.
Yeah,
So
that's
that,
one
that
of the
was
best
unexpectedly
parts.
great.
Yeah. The other best part was all the yummy food at Reading Terminal Market.
That's true, too. I mean, PAX Unplugged and South really do have great locations for food.
Yeah.
Either one, you can basically never have to worry about food.
Well,
really nice.
unless you want something specific.
It's true.
Well, I mean, let's not be picky.
Unless
Come
you
on.
go to
looking
Burger
for
Fi and
fries,
they're
Jay.
out of
We
French
wanted
fries
fries.
and buns.
You could have gone to the Hard Rock.
Why would you go to Hard Rock?
That's my feeling about Hard Rock Cafe.
It has fries.
That's true.
If you want fries, it has them.
Didn't Burger Fry run out of fries at one
That's
point?
the thing. We
Yes,
went over
exactly.
and they were like, "You can order, but we have no buns and no French fries for the next hour." And I was like, "Then
Like
what
the
are you
burger place.
doing?" Yeah, they actually told us. We actually went there on Sunday before the DNC because I really needed food. And
Oh, man, that chili was so good.
Totes.
they were, I was like, so what happened? Like, did you not know that this was happening? And they were like, no, the convention center always tells them when events are happening, and they did not tell them. And so they just had a normal weekend's worth of food, and they were like, we had to close 5 times. Just entirely closed because we couldn't serve anyone anything.
Well, there you go. I mean, they had a great weekend then. They're happy.
Exactly.
They made a
no.
lot of money, and the employees got some time
They
off.
made a lot less money than they could have, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's corporate's concern.
You hear charity stories of someone who walks into a small corner shop and says, "I'm going to buy everything," and
Right.
that's meant to be a good thing. But then it just means they're out of business for a few days while they have to restock everything.
Well, they have to restock everything.
Well, that's good. Then you get a few days
shops
off.
need- no, shops
You're
need to
working
keep
your
going. Shop needs-
butt off finding new
Finding new
merchandise.
stuff. I think these people were having to drive to other locations and pick up stuff and then bring it back.
I would rather be doing that than frying burgers, is all I'm saying. Anyway.
Delicious, delicious burgers. Thanks, BurgerFi.
It was delicious. When we finally did get their food was delicious. It was like a Shake Shack if you're...
Oh, I've been to BurgerFi. They had one in Tuscaloosa. Oh. It's pretty good, yeah.
I'd never heard of one before.
What state is Tuscaloosa in?
Alabama.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
A terrible place.
That was my
should not
first guess.
Oh, don't diss Alabama. It's meant to be quite nice.
I am dissing Alabama.
What else should we be talking about on this PAX-flavored episode?
There was a lot of Dungeons and Dragons at this year. There was the Waffle Crew, the C Team, the A Team, and Kate Welch's game.
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list of things.
Oh, you need to watch that just for the ending.
As well as, like, Adventures League.
Yeah, and Adventures League, which... Did you actually go to the Adventures League room?
Yeah, we went after the event to paint minis.
Oh, yeah. We did.
Oh, was that one downstairs? Because it was very awkward to get to.
Yeah.
There was this massive room of, like, tons of just tables of playing games that was completely separate from the other massive room of tables to play games.
Yeah, because last year they had a lot of issues with people not being able to play games. Like, the space was much expanded from last year.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Double, maybe.
Unplugged was, like...
Twice it was big.
They said the attendance was maybe double, but the space was definitely double.
Yeah. But the painting minis, I didn't say that was my favorite part, but that might have been one of my favorite things that we did.
So our new friend Opal was an enforcer, and she was helping out at the painting mini booth. So
and she told us we should do it, but then she wasn't there, but we painted minis anyway.
And it was very relaxing.
I painted what maybe was a half orc. I don't know. But he's big and angry looking, and I was actually pretty proud of him. And by the time we got to that point on Sunday, I was like tired and a little bit socialized out.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a very chill... Yeah.
It's a very zen thing.
Last year you did a Flame Skull, right?
I did a Demi-Lich at South.
Yeah. So your painting legacy is continuing now. You're going to become a full-time painter.
And now my little...
know what I painted, Jay?
Yeah.
I painted a lovely goblin lady.
A goblin.
Who was very short. She was probably the third player for Katamina.
Yeah,
she was about the right
really
proportion
tiny.
for that.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
We found the third player.
Hey.
You remember that call to action we had earlier in the episode? That's canceled. We found our third player. Sorry. You're done.
Goblin.
You missed your opportunity.
Goblin mini lady.
Exactly.
Good.
No, that's cool. I've always wanted to paint a mini. I feel like I would not get the details in there that would need to be there to understand what this creature is. I think I have very clumsy hands.
So it was kind of hard to tell sometimes what was what.
At one point, Jerika goes, I can't decide if she just doesn't have a shirt on part of her body, or
I turned it around and it was just like a back full of muscle. And I'm like, either this shirt is really tight or they missed some like bra straps here. So I'm just going to paint the straps.
She just painted them on her backless shirt. Because we couldn't figure out how, like, by physics, this goblin lady's shirt was staying on any other way.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, there you go. Sexy minis have a long history in Dungeons and Dragons, unfortunately.
But they mostly had like monstery kind of like minion-y sort of monsters.
Kobolds up the ass.
Lots of kobolds. The tiniest kobolds. Kobolds the size of my pinky nail. I was like, no thanks. Passing on that. So yeah.
You could paint like 10 of those in the same half hour though. just dip them in brown and call it a day.
But if you're ever feeling, it was like, I think the painting minis is like my version of the AFK room. Because it's like quiet and you can talk to people if you want to, or you could just stare at some plastic and paint that.
Yeah. Let's see. I attended a significant number of panels. I went to Pat Rothfuss's afternoon event. I went to Ack Inc. C-Team, of course. I went to the Jeremy Crawford thing, the Q&A thing, the Draw Strip thing, and then I also went to Kate Welch's game that she ran. So I did a pretty good number of panels. When I wasn't at panels, I was hitting the show floor. I basically was busy the entire weekend except for a 3-hour window before the Drawn and Courtier on Sunday, where I just sort of like, oh, I've done everything. Like there's nothing to do.
There's no way you did everything in a weekend.
I did everything I wanted to do. I did everything I wanted to do.
Was there anything you saw or anything that you heard on any of the panels that you will be incorporating into, I don't know, some game in the near future?
Yeah, okay,
or not? It was just entertaining stuff.
No, I think that absolutely Kate Welch's game I felt like was the most inspiring as far as DMing goes.
So you're just gonna pack the dad puns right into the D&D.
It was just like the pace. She had 1 hour to tell a complete D&D story, and she kept the pace up. It was funny, it was light, it was breezy, it kept moving. There were times in the A team show and the C team show where the pacing would kind of hit a lull, and it was gonna be like, and you'd like check your watch and be like, okay, so we're now we're into this. But in the Kate Welch show, it was just like bam, 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 and that's kind of the pacey way that I like to run D&D.
Yeah.
And so
I think that's the difference between a 2.5 hour slot and a 1 hour slot. Well, it wasn't even 1 hour because we started and we did introductions and then we finished early as well.
And there were 6 players.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you would have to be mad to
incredible.
Refuse Kate Welch if she comes up to you and says, "You want to play in my D&D game?"
Yeah.
But yeah,
it was an incredible display. Everybody got a character moment. Everybody got scenes. There was nobody who was just sort of left out of the action of the show. But at the same time, it was like there was a complete story from beginning to end, even though it went completely off the rails, and all that in 50 minutes. I think it was a true feat of DMing.
Isn't that strange as well, though, that in such a short time you can establish that many characters who have got hooks? I can still remember all 6 of them. Don't test me on that because we'll just be falling down.
Moist. Who can forget Moist?
No, but like, what can you use in that if you're trying to make NPCs? Because I feel like a lot of NPCs from shows we watch really stand out. Sometimes even more than the players in certain scenes.
I think the thing that made Kate Welch's NPCs stand out immediately and then be something that you could quickly establish and move through was the silliness that she sort of ascribed to each of them, and the way that she just sort of lunged into voices and caricatures as far as personalities.
Oh, come on. She lunged into one voice very hard.
Yeah, she didn't resist when she screwed it up.
It's my favorite Kate Welch voice. All of her tweets I now read in this voice.
I wasn't even talking about the NPCs. I was talking about those 6 players. What lessons can you learn in terms of quick character creation for your own game?
Well, so they used the D&D Beyond character randomizer to make their characters, and I think that actually really helped them to stand out because it was like a whole bunch of things that you might not pick because of logic and reason.
Yeah, like a book by a bar.
This gets to a point. Some guys in line were talking about Evelyn after one of the live shows, and they were saying, man, that character in that group was so crazy. It was like such a funny combination. And I was like, no, that character in any group would stand out because it's such a strong, powerful, like there is sort of a 2-sentence description of Evelyn that encapsulates her, like this really sunny, caring, kind person who is also kind of oblivious and willing to do battle at all times. So it's this dichotomy between this person who's not afraid to get in there and wreck some shit, but at the same time is really sunny, bright, and personable. And that's always going to stand out. So all these people in the live show with Kate's group, they just sort of stuck to iconic, simple but strong characterization because you have to establish it quickly. So it has to be like a single thing about that character that's going to stick with you throughout the whole show and going to carry you through as far as personality. Moist he was just sort of the hippie guy. So he had that very strong hippie vibe that was always funny. He could always lean back on that for a joke. But at the same time, it didn't take a lot of establishment to build up this complex hippie character. It was just a very simple one note.
There's
this guy's
such a strong difference there between those 6 characters who were like personality driven compared to Evelyn's introduction into the A team, which was motive driven. And that generated a lot of different situations by changing the other characters' dynamics because they all suddenly want different things when she's around.
Yeah. Well, that just sort of naturally occurs over the course of 300 episodes of content.
No,
so eventually
that's true,
you build up a pretty...
How can you inject that sort of X factor into a group and suddenly change every single character's perspective on a scene with another NPC?
I think the easiest way that I've found to inject a lot of like instant conflict is for the DM beforehand to give everybody a secret that they have to protect, some sort of secret motivation that maybe conflicts with the secret motivations of the other players. That to me helps generate like more complicated interactions because my secret objective works with your secret objective. Okay, I'm helping you now. We're friends.
Oh, yeah.
And my secret objective goes against your secret objective. Okay, now we're enemies.
I think what made a team shine for me is that every player at the table is an amazing storyteller.
That's true too.
And they're all really, 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 really good at giving other players that time to shine and like understanding that they don't have to, add on. Like you just have that moment and it's there and it's perfect. And I think that that's kind of what AI is. And I think in some way it's like it's a caricature of their characters. I was talking to one of you, I think, over the weekend, and it's not that you're getting the whole backstory and the whole fleshed out character. You're getting the best, most shiny, most sharp parts of them.
Well, and that I think makes them feel more like real people too, right? Because if I meet you for the first time, you don't get like every ounce of everything that's ever happened to me, but you still get like the Haley experience. And so I think that's the struggle with the Haley experience.
I was going to say, it's also kind of realistic that somebody can be like, oh, this reminds me of this time I went through this horrible thing. That makes a character feel more fleshed out as well. The fact that they have this sort of long history from their own show to draw upon, to reference in this current moment.
Right.
Like these are fleshed out and realized characters because they are fleshed out and realized characters. They've all been around for, 3 or 4 years at least.
Right,
and some of
so
them
like
as far
the
as 10
whole
years.
Lathander thing with Evelyn is, that's a callback to her whole deal. But the way that she was able to kind of just like surgically drop it in was
and
great.
like her affinity for the gargoyle is based on her relationship with Simon, which is not something that somebody who doesn't watch DCA would have picked up on. But it's something that sort of makes her a little more deep if you know more about her. And for somebody who's just learning about her for the first time, it's like, oh, she has this affinity for a constructs. Like, that's weird. Like, why does she have an affinity for constructs? Well, I guess that's just a part of her personality. That makes you think that she's more realized too. Like, oh, she has all these sort of facets that we don't know about.
Right. And I think that that's a good way to like think about your NPCs is just like, okay, well, what's this person's deal? Okay, maybe let's just use Evelyn. Let's say Evelyn's your NPC and no, we don't know who Evelyn is. I almost said in real life, but in real game life. We don't know who Evelyn is. But let's say like you want someone similar. Okay, then maybe you do. You want to like bring up that like construct relationship somehow so you can have them react in a similar way. And that might drive your players to say like, well, why is this upsetting to you? And then they have something more to interact with than just like a character that's only there for dialogue.
Yeah, so you want to give them like that strong personality quirk, like loves Lathander a whole lot. And then you want to maybe go under that and bullet point some like softer quirks that can come up maybe. Like, has an orphanage. I think one of my NPCs in their bio description, it says they run an orphanage. And all the players were like trying to dig that out of the character because they read that description. They're like, oh, they run an orphanage. I want to know more about that. And so, maybe go bullet point a few things beneath their character, like some other little quirks that can come out during play to add a little more nuance that might make them seem a little more deep. Because people are not one thing, generally speaking. They are multiple things.
I think there's a temptation to be like, okay, I need to give like the 5-minute elevator speech about this character when I introduce them, but like in real life you don't walk up to someone and generally give them like the 5-minute version of your life. You just act in certain ways. You don't? I mean, am I doing interaction wrong?
Oh yeah, if you spend 10 minutes with me, you've known everything about me. That's fine.
I can say I've spent a few minutes with you and I know very little about you, so maybe that's not true.
Oh, I was just being standoffish. That's all right.
Oh no!
It's your fault, Jay.
Yeah, it was. I was trying that weekend. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get Senpai to notice me," but it never happened. Senpai never noticed me.
Oh goodness!
It's all right. Next PAX.
Next PAX. I'm already planning next PAX. That's how much effect it has on me.
Yay.
Are you going to South?
Oh no. That's far too soon.
I thought you meant
next
that is
next
pretty
PAX
close.
for me is going to be unplugged.
Unplugged.
For sure.
Nice.
Unplugged, yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think Unplugged and South are going to be my annual PAXs. I don't think I'll go to any others, but I think those two I'll go to every year for the rest of my life.
Well, you've got the nice luxury of being able to just drive or get land transport.
To Unplugged.
Yeah, I have to fly to South, but I can take a bus to Unplugged, and it's really nice.
Okay.
It's like a $16 bus. It's really nice.
Yeah, I'll probably always do East, and I'll probably always enforce it because it's like, it's home. It feels weird to like have a PAX happen like within 10 miles of my house and not go. I know I'm very spoiled for this fact. But I would say that actually, like, I have these other PAXs that are now my favorite PAXs, and I'm like, I really should cut down to like 2 PAXs, maybe even 1
Walking
PAX
around
a year.
the con show with Haley, and all the enforcers are just asking her why she's not enforcing.
They were giving me such a hard time. They were like, oh, speaking of enforcers that abandon us. And I was like, I'm sorry, I just want to go to the bathroom without being harassed by my friends. Yeah, go to PAX for long enough, and that's what will happen. But I know it's hard because I've decided, like, I'll always work East. But I decided, like, I was going to enforce Unplugged, but, like, last year everyone went to that really tasty ramen shop, and I couldn't go because I had to go and work, and I was so sad about not getting to, like, socialize with friends. And so this year I decided I just needed a vacation, and I would have a vacation PAX.
Unplugged really wiped you out last year.
It did.
Too.
I cosplayed for the first time.
That
I'd been having a pretty rough time before that, and I just decided this year I was going to have a positive PAX experience at Unplugged.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, so if you're going to enforce, maybe enforce locally or know that you're getting into kind of a job scenario.
Right.
So don't go in like tired and expecting a lot of free time because it is kind of a commitment.
You work a long shift, like it's a full shift every day. It's not like you work one day of the convention and that's it. And so, like, it's good. Like, I know a lot of the people, like, at East are kind of people like me who started going to East in the beginning and now feel that they've done East enough that it's just like, okay, I might as well work this instead. But so I can still go, but I don't need to have the full experience.
Yeah, Matt Will Jackson, he worked as a DM for the Adventures League, and I mean, he was busy 8 hours the first day, 6 hours the second day, and like 4 hours the next day, and he would have been busy more if one of his games hadn't been canceled. So it was definitely a time commitment. Like, he earned his keep when they paid for his tickets and his room. He earned his keep for sure.
Is there anything we would like to make sure not to miss in the last 4 minutes of recording?
So one of the things that I wanted to hint at or bring up is that Jerika and I met some very nice people from a game that I think we will feature on a future episode, if this is something that our viewers are listeners are interested in. But it's called Beyonder, and it was a beautiful art having role-playing game.
It's a TTRPG.
It is a TTRPG, and it has beautiful art. And so, since the art is so beautiful, I just wanted to give it a shout out in this episode.
Maybe we could do a stream or
I
something.
think we should do a stream because one of the features of this, I'll just preface it so that you can all be intrigued. There are 2 different ways to create a character, and one of them is create your character as like a choose your own adventure. So, like, you play through a short adventure, and you make different choices, and at the end of it, like, you have a character with stats.
That's pretty cool.
That's very similar to an old school tabletop RPG. I can't think of the name right now, but you could actually die in character creation because you had to roll on all these tables and you had like a full life for your character. And depending on how you rolled, like a tragedy would happen or like an accident, or you would go into military service and then you would die in your military service and then you would just have to start over. But you would have like a fully fleshed out character by the end. It's like the only game you can die in character creation, but that had the similar kind of like choose your own adventure style.
Wow.
So it just immediately reminded me of that. That's awesome. That's really cool as a concept for building your character.
But I think that would be a super cool thing to like do on either a stream or on an episode. So hopefully that will come to you soon.
As far as me, if I had anything to pass on, I would say one of the things that is difficult to keep in mind during a PAX, but is important, is that this PAX is not your last PAX. Like, if you want to go to another PAX, you can. So you don't have to worry about doing everything and seeing everything and being everywhere. Just have fun. And if you're not having fun during a PAX, if something you're doing is not fun, then do something fun instead. Like, if you're standing around in the game area and you're just sort of bored out of your mind, go get one of the looking for group cones, put it on a table, sit down with a board game, and people will just come and play games with you. And you don't have to go find one of the demo booths and join a demo. Like, if you're standing in line for 2 hours and your legs are tired and you just wish you weren't doing that, don't do it. There's a Lines app. It'll tell you when the line's at 75%. You can go hop in line then and use the first hour of line time to play games and have fun and see booths and go to the floor. Go eat for 2 hours if you have to decompress. You don't have to rush back as fast as possible because you're going to miss something. There are line apps. There are apps that tell you what's going on and when. There's everything you need. All the information you need is there. Don't force yourself. Just enjoy it at your own pace. You will see everything.
I think that's really hard for some people. I just want to call that out. And I think that if you are feeling like that, I think that was me last year at Unplugged, where I felt like there were so many people I needed to meet and so many things to do, and it was constrained by the enforcing time, and it stressed me out. And I think if I had just let myself go outside for a half an hour and relax, it would have really helped me.
Yeah, I'm giving this advice to myself. I'm giving this advice to people because I know that it is real. There was that 3 hour period between before the Drawn Accordia where I didn't have anything to do, and I felt panicked. I was like, there should be something here. I should be doing something. And then I was like, you know what? I've done a lot.
That's just
Let's go take a seat.
That's just part of the gamer's mindset, though, is to always be min-maxing and just trying to get the most of your time. But getting the most of your time means being in a good mindset while you're doing the things you want to do. So.
Right. See, my gamer's mindset is to tell a good story. And I have a lot of good stories I can tell. I sang the Dad Funkers Inc. song to Jerry Holkins, and that was exciting to me.
Yeah, I think that's true. And Jerika and I talked a lot about this, pre-PAX, is what were our PAX goals? And my PAX goal was to meet a lot of people and not get overwhelmed this year. And I did that. And so, it's good.
Mission successful.
But I think it is important to if you don't have defined things that you want to do or goals for yourself, you can just get very overwhelmed by the volume of content.
Yeah, and the app is really great because it lets you add things to your personal schedule, which helps you to keep up with where things are, when things are, and stuff like that. So I would really recommend you download the app.
And a lot of
the lines,
people will tweet where they are. Satine was constantly tweeting her location. And people will be like, I'm at Bandland now or whatever. So if there are people that you want to meet as well, you can just
set up
peep their Twitter.
Yeah, and we'll link the Shadow Council Discord and the Insight Check Discord on our Twitter sometime this week, just because those were great places to keep in touch with people and to stay in constant communication and know where people were playing games or meeting up or having events.
It is nice to have a group know where you can find some people to get breakfast or find some people to get lunch. It's nice. That can help me remember to take breaks for things like that.
Main takeaway was, but sometimes it's just really important to actually physically be with people. Because there were a lot of things about 10 years ago when internet connections were getting really good. But there are all these articles coming out saying, okay, no one's ever going to have to go into work again. Everyone can just work from home and just be on video calls and conference calls. And just going to the show just shows how important it is to have a physical presence with someone. And especially when you play board games as well, that's such a necessary thing. You're never going to take that human element out of it.
I think that's
absolutely
a good observation, because I think there's that whole feeling, right, of your online friends are real friends, and that's been a discussion for a long time, and it's totally true. But it is also really cool to be present with your online friends. And
it's nice to occupy the same physical space.
Yeah. I jokingly said, look, you're a human with a human body. But it's cool.
Well, even if you're listening to this at home and all your interaction with people online has been just through text, maybe hop on a Discord voice channel when you're playing games with someone and then start actually talking with them and sort of make those steps to turning people who were just text behind a wall into real people in front of you. And then you can have a way better time than you would be doing normally.
Yeah.
And Unplugged is a great first convention because it is very kind of low key compared to some of the other PAXs. So if you're stressed out by crowds,
There was a lot of crowds, though. But there were a lot of
places to avoid the crowd. Yeah. And, I mean, don't go to Reading Terminal Market if you're bad with crowds.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the town center for dinner. But yeah, I mean, I know we had a couple of friends who were pretty socially anxious who attended PAX Unplugged as their first PAX. And we have a very caring community that will help you through it. And yeah, it's, it's called home for a reason.
It's true.
And I think that's going to be the end of this one because we have hit the hour mark and John has to go.
Oh man, I can hear that intro music coming back in. But now it's outro music.
Yeah, right? It's good stuff.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Insight Check. We hope that maybe we have answered some of your most pressing questions about the best parts of PAX. And hopefully we'll see you at a future PAX. And if you enjoyed this show, or even if you didn't enjoy this show, if you could go onto iTunes and leave us a review, we would really appreciate it. And hopefully you liked the show. We sincerely hope that. Mm-hmm. Thank you, as always, to Vin Swept for our intro and outro music, and to Amy T. Falcone for our chibi faces. You'll have noticed the addition of our other Canadian that's definitely not the same Canadian as Air. He has a face now. Our Leap has a face. So thank you for that.
He does.
As always, answering your cues from our collective A's.
This
was
Insight.
Check.
Yeah, we did it without planning.
We did it!
Yay.
A little squish, 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 squish. That's a good sound.
It's not as bad as it could be.
I guess. I mean,
That's
that's always
my
true.
motto. That's Jerika's role to life. It could always be worse.
Jerika, it's not as bad as it could be.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I used to have a friend like that who would always tell me like, well, maybe things are rough right now, but I don't have it as bad as possible. And I'm like, it's not like a race to it's not like only the person at the very bottom gets to complain. Like, other people can also complain. It's fine.